Now this guitar is quite old, but it's quite a good, reasonable quality one. It just looks very ugly, so I've got to repair quite a number of cracks, reinforce the sides, and repaint the whole thing. Now I've cleaned this one up, I've sanded it back to clean so that I can repaint it. Now the sides were so damaged I repaired those, but you can see they're quite cracky. And so since it's had so much damage, there's a couple of other things that I want to do to just make it a little bit more robust for combat. I want to get these little sticks about 1 millimeter or 2 thick, and I want to put them on the inside every so often. I put one here, 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 and I can do that by reaching through the sound hole and gluing those, but I can only reach to around about here. So there's a little trick to getting them down the back end there on the inside of the bout. Now to do the operation, I'm going to get the guitar and sit it on a chair and leaning against the table so that it's in an angle where I'm going to put the stick is exactly down on the flat here. And I'm going to need a mirror, a little mirror here from a makeup thing on a stick, a kebab stick here with some tape, so that I can look through the hole and see what I'm doing down here as to where I'm positioning it, and to see a bit of light. I'm going to stick a torch in there also, in there. And that way I can operate through the hole, taking a look with the mirror what I'm doing. Please excuse our noisy neighbours who've decided to put some music on. But anyway, here, so I've got this stick that will go through the hole, and I've got my little stick that I'm going to put in there, and I'm going to get some masking tape and stick it on the end of that stick, so that I can then take this little sticky hair and stick it on, so that there's enough stick to hold it, so I can maneuver it into there, into the hole, and put some glue on, and then I'm going to feed that down into there so that I can get it right down to the bottom. Gravity is going to help me getting it right at the very bottom. So then with a mirror, I'm just going to make sure that I've got it in the right position, and I can move that around with that stick and then apply a little bit of pressure to that stick so that it's going to stick it down, and then leave that to dry. And when that's dry, I can just twist that stick and pull out the stick. The tape will come undone, and that will be stuck in there. Now on the bout here, there was a big crack where it had a sliver fracture out, and it's also very thin after the sanding, so I've decided I'll replace that with a bigger patch. I have got a piece of thin board and steam bent it so that it's going to fit in there, and I'll cut the patch first. Now with the patch on there, I'm going to score around that patch with a knife to precisely know where to trim that up. Then I'm going to make some patches and sticks to put in behind that patch to give it some reinforcement when I finally stick it in there. So there we have it, some reinforcements behind. This one's a square patch, one that's a little bit wider. This one has gone the full width of the body, a smaller one, and to another square one. Making sure I don't have a whole bunch of glue in there which will get in the way of putting the whole patch in when I put the patch in. So there I have those supports dry, and I can just check my patch make sure it fits in there nice and tidily. If not, just make sure it does fit. Clean it up. And glue it up. Then I clamp those down with a couple of sticks or several, tied with some stretchy cloth string so that it generates enough stretch, or in this case stretchy shoelaces, and you can just move them out a little bit to increase the tension, but it should sit nice and flat in there anyway. Here you can see the reinforcement sticks running across the grain to give strength to the bout sides, and then you can see behind the patch and more of the upright reinforcements. Now, depending on how good your timber match is, it's almost unnoticeable, and if it is a slightly different colour and stuff, you can just tint it or paint it a little bit darker so that completely hides, but it's basically gone.